All right, how about we play a little game? Imagine this, a super simple casino card game. Looks totally fair, and there's a nice cash prize on the line. But, and there's always a but, right? There's a hidden rule, a slick little trick designed to trip you up. The real question is, can you spot it before the house gets your money? Let's find out. So picture this. You're walking through a casino, and a dealer motions you over. They're offering a shot at a quick $100. The game looks, almost too simple. Your gut instinct is probably screaming, easy money. But come on, we're in a casino. You know you always have to look a little closer. All right, so first things first, what are the rules? In any really good puzzle, the rules aren't just instructions. They're actually the clues. So let's break down exactly how this whole challenge is set up. Okay, the setup really does seem incredibly simple. We start with just a standard, regular 52-card deck, all shuffled up. The dealer just flips over 2 cards at a time, and we just keep doing that until the whole deck is gone. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Nothing tricky here. Or so it seems. Okay, now this is where things get interesting. The sorting. It all comes down to the color of the cards. If the 2 cards they flip over are both red, boom, they go into your pile. If they're both black, they go over to the dealer. And what if you get a mixed pair? One red and one black? Well, those just get tossed aside. They are out of the game completely. And the goal? Super simple. All you have to do is end up with more cards in your pile than the dealer has in theirs. You do that, you walk away with $100. But you got to pay really close attention to that last little detail. Ties lose. It seems like such a tiny thing, but in games like this, those tiny details, they're everything. So definitely keep that one in the back of your mind. All right, so now we have the rules. We know the whole setup. Now comes the real question. The dealer looks at you and asks you to name your price to play. What do you think is a fair entry fee for a shot at that $100? So what's your answer? Looking at these rules, what would you actually be willing to pay? Maybe $50, assuming it's basically a coin flip, or maybe 20, 10. Go ahead, lock a number in your head right now. Seriously, take a second, pause, and really think it through. What are the odds here? Is there some hidden strategy I'm missing? Does the way the cards are shuffled even matter at all? Try to consider all the angles. All right, you got your number? Doesn't matter if you're feeling super confident or if you're just totally stumped. It's time to start peeling back the layers on this thing. Because, well, this isn't really a game of chance. It's a logic puzzle. And there's one simple hint that's going to crack this whole thing wide open. And here it is. The hint. The key to solving this entire puzzle is just one word: symmetry. See, this isn't about some crazy complex probability theory or card counting. Nope. It's about a perfect balance that's been hiding in plain sight this whole time. Let's see how this one simple idea just completely changes everything. So where do we even start to look for this symmetry? Well, we have to go right back to the very beginning. Let's just forget the rules for a second and just look at the most basic piece of evidence we have: the deck of cards itself. And here it is, our perfect starting point. A standard deck of cards has exactly 26 red cards and 26 black cards. It's a perfect 50-50 split. The whole system is perfectly, beautifully balanced before a single card is even touched. This right here, this is our foundation. Okay, now let's go back to that one rule that seemed almost like a throwaway, right? The one about the discarded cards. What actually happens when a mixed pair, one red and one black, gets taken out of play? What does that do to the overall balance of the deck? And this, right here, this is the entire trick. Every single time a mixed pair gets discarded, what are you removing? You're taking away one red card and one black card. Just think about what that really means for a second. You aren't actually changing the balance at all. For every red card that leaves the game, a black card leaves right along with it. So the number of red and black cards still left in the deck, it remains perfectly equal. That symmetry is never, ever broken. So, if the balance of red cards and black cards that are actually available to go into the piles is always maintained, what does that tell us about the final result? Let's walk through the inevitable conclusion here. You see, that whole discard pile thing, it's just a clever distraction. Its only real purpose is to remove cards from the game while keeping the balance of the remaining red and black cards perfectly intact. So it literally doesn't matter how many pairs get discarded. The cards that are left to be sorted, they will always be half red and half black. Always. So let's just play this all the way out to the end. Every single remaining red card, by rule, has to go into your pile, and every single remaining black card has to go to the dealer. And since we now know that the number of remaining red cards and black cards has to be identical, well, that means your final pile will always have the exact same number of cards as the dealer's pile. Just let that sink in for a minute. It doesn't matter how the deck is shuffled. It doesn't matter how many pairs get tossed out. This game can only ever end in one way: a perfect tie. And remember that tiny little rule we were told to remember? Ties lose. So, it's actually mathematically impossible for you to ever win this game.
So back to the original question. How much should you pay to play a game that you can never, ever win? The answer, of course, is zero. Zilch, not a single penny. The whole game is just an illusion, a really clever trap that's just designed to look fair on the surface.
And that really brings us to the final and most important takeaway here. This whole puzzle was never really about calculating odds or probabilities. It was about spotting a hidden assumption, the assumption that winning was even possible in the first place. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other unwinnable games are out there in the world, just waiting for us to spot the one hidden rule that we've completely overlooked?